Pocatello Business Podcast is sponsored by New Clean Commercial Cleaning, locally owned and serving all Southeast Idaho.
Welcome to the Pocatello Business Podcast, the only Pocatello podcast focused on providing profits for Pocatello people. If you love our town and love small business, you are in the right place. We interview local legends, learn business, and have way too much fun doing it. You're listening to the Pocatello Business Podcast with your friend, host, all-around great guy, and owner of New Clean Commercial Cleaning, Spencer Ward.
All right, Pocatello people, this is the first podcast of the Pocatello Business Podcast. We're here with Mecinna Price. How you doing, Mecinna?
I'm good. How are you?
Perfect. I'm
good.
Doing good today.
Good.
So this is Mecinna Price. She is the inventor of the dripstick, and that was in 2006, right? You started that company?
Ooh, you're good. You did your homework.
I did my homework. She owned your first dance studio at age 16?
17.
17?
Yeah.
Okay. She owns a med spa here in town called Nouveau, excuse me.
It's like new skin.
There you go.
Nouveau.
Yeah. And she also manages and owns a real estate portfolio with her husband.
Yeah. I hate that part of it. Yeah.
And on top of that, in 2006, I believe you were on the Rachel Ray show for the dripstick and the Big Idea on CNBC.
And Good Morning America.
And Good Morning America. Wow, that's big three. That's
and
pretty
the Today
cool.
Show.
And the Today Show, really.
Yeah.
Very cool. And that company's still up and rolling.
That company's still going.
Very cool.
Yeah. Now our son does most of that. So.
Perfect. And on top of all that, she's been extensively trained in Europe in laser treatments for her med spa and that for the laser. In the med spa in Chubbuck, where we currently are.
Yep.
You can stay with all my bumbling and mumbling. So.
No, you're doing great. I'm impressed already.
There we go. That's good. Well, anyways, along that, she's a great person. She's fun to be around. Come see her. Come visit her at the med spa. You won't regret it. We've got some amazing massages. I know firsthand.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, Mecinna, when did you realize you had this entrepreneur side to yourself?
I think at a very young age, but I didn't think I knew that's what it was. Okay. When we were really little, I'm the oldest of 4 sisters, which I think firstborns just kind of naturally take that leadership role. We used to do just crazy. We would sell painted rocks to the construction workers. My dad was a produce manager at Smith's, and they would have the fruit leather. They still have the fruit leather, but if it was going on a date, he'd bring home cases of it. And unbeknownst to him, one day we took cases of it and put it in our wagon, and we went to the construction workers behind us and sold these fruit leather bars. And he was like, "You're gonna get me in trouble. Like those are going on a date. Like that was just for you kids as lunches." But we made a killing selling those, and I was probably 8 or 9, and I remember having my sister sitting on top. She couldn't walk. She was young enough that we had her sitting in the wagon on top of the cases, pulling this green wagon through the neighborhood. And so we were always selling something, performing and charging, entry fees to garage concerts and dance recitals. We didn't do a lot when we weren't trying to make money doing it.
Hey,
so
that's
it's ridiculous now.
Zero overhead.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've had 3 other jobs where I was an employee, and that's it. And I kind of learned really young that I learned such great valuable lessons there, but I definitely struggled a little bit with wanting to make changes and do other things, but only being 16 and 17 and not being my place in that employee role of, no, we're not making changes. You weren't brought in, just fold the clothes on the table or, sell the movie tickets. You're good. Just do what you're supposed to do. So, yeah, we've always had multiple businesses. So.
And you never get bored.
Never bored. Never bored.
always new challenges come.
Yeah.
That's what I enjoy about the business and being, on the entrepreneurial side.
Yeah.
You don't get bored. So.
I'm getting older though. I'm a lot older than you. I'm starting to get to where I would like a rest. I would like to be bored once in a while. So.
Hey, that's why you go on vacation, recharge those batteries, and you get back at it again. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you some more questions. You can say pass on the ones you don't want to answer, or slug me, whatever you need to do. So, so we're going to talk more about let's talk more about your med spa.
All right.
And Nouveau. So I won't say that wrong again.
You're okay.
What is some of the common myths of your industry?
I think the common myth, maybe not even of this industry, but every industry, I have a really hard time, and this just makes me sound horrible, with the phrase "the customer is right." I think it needs to be a little reworded. I agree that all customers deserve respect and deserve 100% of your efforts, but I find that very rarely is the customer right, because if the customer really knew what was going on and what you were doing, you wouldn't be needed. They wouldn't need your help. They wouldn't be coming to you for a service if they truly understood what your job was and what you were doing. So I have a really hard time with the customer is always right.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah.
Are there any kind of false beliefs, from the outsider's perspective, that have never been into a med spa that you think are out there that people believe and are hesitant to come to a med spa?
Yeah, I think people just assume everything is going to cost a ton of money, or they assume that at home they can get the same results on their own. And to a degree, with a certain education, you can do some things. We do encourage our clients to have good at-home care and to do certain things on their own. But there is a limitation to that. There is a reason that we have lasers and equipment and prescription product, and it all has a place. So, but I think that people just see Nouveau and see the branding and just assume if I walk in there, it's going to cost buco bucks, and it's gonna, and that's not true. We try to have our price points, a good range of price points, and work with a variety of budgets. And if the customer's upfront on this is what I am wanting to achieve and this is what I have or what I can budget for, we're really good at working within those budgets and
that's interesting.
Making it possible.
I'm sure that is a big one that people out there that.
Well, I think another, sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're fine.
Another myth maybe would be that everybody's in business for money. And I think for me, that's completely not. Like going along with that last question too, I want nothing more than for my customers to have amazing results with their skin, because that's why I do it, as I love what we do. I never ever went into business. I've always gone into business because it's fun. I've never done it for the money. And I think when you are doing it for the money, it's a totally different, because I've had businesses that I run for the money, and then I have businesses like the studio is a nonprofit. I don't take a paycheck from that at all, and it has a whole different realm of satisfaction and creative outlet for me than my businesses that have to make money to survive. Totally different. So it's never been, my businesses, I've never been in a position where it was like, my family's going to go under if this isn't successful. So it's made it very enjoyable. It's taken that pressure off to where I can get really creative and I can take risks that other people might not be able to take, that are like, I can't afford for this to fail. If I fail, we're still okay financially, so it's all right. So I think that is when people do come in, or you have an upset customer and they think it's all about the money, like it's really not for me at all.
So you're saying you see your efforts are kind of doubled down on those businesses that you're not running for money, and the ones that you are running for money, you don't really. Your efforts are just there, just to satisfy it.
No, I just find that I can take risks when it's not about the money. I can do crazy things and think outside the box, and I can take risks because I think, okay, well, if this fails, what am I going to lose? And as long as I'm okay to lose that, it's okay. Whereas my businesses that aren't about money, like the studio, is purely a creative outlet and working with the kids. And I have spent my entire life honing that art of dance. Like I've danced since I was 2. So it's like, well, what am I without it? What happens when I do stop? I don't even know who I am, to where it's completely different. It's more about giving back to those kids. And there's a satisfaction of, I did start teaching when I was 17, which I shouldn't have done. I was way too young to be running that business then. But a lot of my original students from that first studio before we moved, I am now teaching their children. And I even have a couple of their children that are now teenagers. That when I've talked about retiring, they're like, wait. I'll probably have a baby within 5 years. You got to go for 3 generations of teaching here. And that blows my mind.
That's crazy.
So.
Well, that's cool that you have those different outlets that you can to give back and also just to enjoy yourself. So.
Yeah.
Well, perfect. So what's kind of your motto, your secret sauce to doing business that you believe that keeps you successful and keep you moving forward?
I think it's a good and a bad. I don't really listen to anybody else. And I feel like in looking back to our 10 years of business or the 15 years with the dripstick, I think back to advice people gave me. And I think if I had listened to that, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. When we opened Nouveau, every single friend we had that was in finance or law, all of them said, do not do this. Pocatello does not have the demographic to support the type of business that you're wanting to become with the lasers and all the big stuff. And they're like, don't do it. And it scared me a little bit. And in the same way, it kind of fired me. Like, oh, I'm so going to do this. And you're going to watch and you're going to eat your words. And it totally does. Like, Pocatello's been very accepting, and it's been a fantastic business, and we've had nothing but growth every year. So I think probably my secret sauce is I think I have a very good instinct in being a firstborn and a Pisces, and like every little type A, every little stereotype of my personality leads to, and I do think it's true, I have a really good instinct. And I kind of just follow my gut, and it doesn't usually stray me in the wrong direction.
That's good. Do you have like a few business gurus, like you have Tony Robbins or anyone out there that you kind of listen to and kind of get inspired by?
My husband.
Okay, awesome.
That's probably it. I do listen to a few of those types of people, and I like to glean little inspirational things for the day or whatnot, but there isn't just one that is like my person or that I listen to all the time. But if I'm ever stuck or I'm ever like, gosh, I have this idea, but Jared is very logical and I'm not, and he's very unemotional. So he's kind of my good sounding board. He always has really good advice, and he's a good compliment.
Yeah, and what I was getting at too, and that's great. You have built into your home for that. But I'm a firm believer that you have to have, you have to have a sounding board, and either if it's I think you need someone on a personal level to be able to, share ideas with, but then also someone to be inspired by. But I think sometimes people get too many professionals out there giving too many different pieces of advice, and they start contradicting each other, and that brings confusion in. Just kind of like what you did with the attorneys, and they all are saying controversial things, and you just kind of have to trust your gut and go for it. Yeah,
you have to know yourself. I do have several good friends. Most of my friends are business owners, and I do have a great community of support, and people that are like, oh, you can do this, like, go, you're fine. And then I kind of have this, I've always had, it's with parenting too, and business. I have a hard time listening to people that don't have more, haven't done more than me. So, for example, if anyone gave me parenting advice through all my years of parenting, my head would automatically go to, how many kids do you have? Because if you don't have at least 5, which is where I'm at, I'm not listening to you.
That's very true.
Or if they were trying to give me advice on a daughter, I'm like, how many daughters do you have? Because if you don't have at least 3, not listening to you. And I'm kind of the same with money. I'll think of, okay, what is your business? This doesn't even apply, or you don't relate at all. Or there's a huge difference in running a local business like Nouveau in comparison to a world business like Dripstick. Like with Dripstick, most of my customers I don't see. I don't deal with them on a personal level. I'll see them at a trade show once a year, maybe a couple of them, but it's not like Nouveau where my face is in the community, and I have to be so careful of how my staff treats customers, how I behave when I'm at stores, or we've had comments of people, oh, I saw her out at the store in sweats and looking like, and it's like, oh my gosh, okay, I gotta be so careful here. Or even my kids' actions. We do get that feedback here of people holding my whole family accountable for what employees at Nouveau are doing. So that's completely different. Like, there are different businesses. Online is totally different than a local business. So yeah, there's huge differences even just within the business. Being a business owner doesn't mean you relate to all business owners.
No, it's very true. That's why I'm doing this. I enjoy getting bits and pieces of advice and tips and tricks.
So fun.
Because they're doing things that I'm not doing, and so it's good. So, well, perfect. So Tell me, here's a fun one. What's something you failed at?
Oh my gosh. This was one that I was like, and I fail all the time. I'm not pausing because I'm like, I never fail. It's, I do think I'm pretty good at knowing what I'm not good at. And anymore, I just don't get into it if I'm like, that's not my thing. I'm not going to put time in that. It's not my thing. Okay, I got it. I've gone to college for 6 years and I still don't have a college degree. So I guess you could say I failed at getting a college degree.
Sure.
I have my aesthetics license and several certifications, but I don't have an actual degree from university.
Sure.
So there you go.
And that's another discussion altogether, but I'm on the same, I don't feel like college is going to be magically making me a perfect business owner.
Nope. Not at all.
No offense, ISU, because I'm a
No.
graduate, but
Yeah.
I think you have to go to the school of hard knocks a little bit and learn and get a little desperate to learn.
Well, and my issue was trying to find, like I went to nursing school for 2 years, and then I went to exercise science because that fit in with the dance stuff, and then I went into journalism and English because I loved writing, and that I could never just pick one thing.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is business never occurred to me. It never occurred to me to go to school for business. I was already running 3 businesses when I was going to ISU. So it didn't, and in my head it was like, well, I'm already doing that. What do I need? And now I'll go up to ISU and mentor and teach every semester. I have a couple friends that teach in the business college, and they'll have me come in and talk, and I think I kind of undo most all of their teaching. I'm like, business plan, out. Mission statement, don't waste your time. It'll change every other month. And they're like,
I learned a lot about that in marketing too. There's some things I learned in marketing there that were completely different on our side of things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
interesting. No, that's good. Well, perfect. So what advice, kind of summing up now, what advice would you give someone trying to start a business in Pocatello or trying to better their business in Pocatello? Or Chubbuck, pretty much same.
Yes. I think that you have to be willing to answer the public when you're doing a local business in Pocatello, and you have to have community involvement. You cannot just open your business and call that good. You have to be willing to give back to the community, to sponsor kids in the community, I think people are amazed at how many sponsorships and fundraising efforts and things business owners are asked for. It's crazy. And you have to work that into your budget. You cannot say no to any of those things because it comes back to you personally.
Yeah.
Oh, I asked Mecinna to donate to this and she said no. And my dad's like, honey, you got it. I'm like, oh my gosh, Dad, I got 10 last week alone.
I know.
So you have to have that worked into your budget to help with the community that your business is part of. I think that it is a misconception overall in business that business owners and businesses just make money. I think if you're over 3 to 5 years, clearly you know what you're doing and you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
But it's a long time coming before I cashed a paycheck, and even a longer time coming before we were profitable. And I tend to, with all my businesses, if there's a profit, I'm kind of wondering, I don't really need, this sounds horrible, I don't really need more money. So I tend to put my money in, I'll buy another laser.
Yeah,
I'll
put it back in the business.
rehab my whole building. I will expand. We'll do, so it is there on paper. It's not always oh, you're making da-da-da. We are, but we're spending it just as fast to keep up with the growth and to keep up with the community needs and what we have to do to stay on top of things. You can't just open a business and sit for 10 years and think that's going to be, you have to constantly be making that business better, especially in this industry. Things change every year. There's new treatments, there's new lasers, there's new everything, new education, and I was surprised at, I did think, oh, we'll get to it. I have good estheticians, I have good massage therapists, everybody knows what they're doing, and then the next year it's oh, everybody's got to learn how to do this now, or we got to get this new laser now, or you have to have continuous money to roll in and out of the business to keep it fresh.
And the money you've put into training and everything, all this stuff into these employees, they don't always stay.
Oh, don't even get me going
It's
on
another
that,
story
Spencer.
altogether.
That's a topic for a whole nother hour.
Hey, I know my tuition rate for our industry in the commercial cleaning is 400% a year. So that's a national average. We're not there, but it's bad. So.
But do yours leave and take your clients with them?
No, that's true. That's not a good one.
You build up people, you get them their clientele, you get them going, and then no, like I said.
Oh man.
Another topic.
Yeah, that's another topic. We'll have you on again later on. We'll talk about more of that kind of stuff.
It's a big problem. I talk to a lot of people about that.
Yeah.
I think and there's a completely different perspective from the business owner side of it than from the employee side of it.
Sure.
Every time. So.
Sure.
Yeah.
So what are kind of closing down now? What some of the roadblocks you would tell these people to watch out for when starting a business?
Growth, I think, is also a roadblock. When we started Dripstick, my father-in-law, he was a businessman, and we were running through things, and he said, your biggest problem is going to be growing too fast. And I remember thinking, oh, that's not a problem. That's fine. Because, right, it sounds like, well, that's all we want is growth. What he meant with that business, and it's the same with this business or probably any business, is the more you grow, the more inventory you need to carry, the more money you need up front to order that inventory, the more employees you need to service the clients that keep on coming, which is a good thing, but it costs more money, it's more energy. The more we grow, the more work there is for me.
Yeah.
The more problems there are, the more employees to keep on top of, the more clients to make sure they're happy and okay. So the growth, though it's good, is also, I don't know if I'd call it a roadblock, but it is something you have to learn to handle. And you don't know how to handle that when you go into it.
That's
it's
true.
a learning process throughout the years.
You know, and as you're going to school and you're learning about this kind of stuff, it's help. There's some things you can pick and choose from.
Right.
But until you fully get something that just hits you in the face and you're like, what do I have to do now?
Well, and you have to check your ego at the door.
You
cannot.
do.
It cannot be personal. It cannot be about you. And I think etiquette in business is if not long gone, quickly on its way out the door. And I think that is one of the saddest things about our changing generations in business is where we're going there. I think etiquette in business needs a revival.
Perfect. Well, we're going to talk more about this later, but I just want to thank you today for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
It'll also be on our Facebook page as well. I'm going to edit my goofy face out or maybe put a smiley face over it.
No, don't do that.
But if you're interested in doing business in Pocatello, running a business, advancing your business, or managing a business, tune in, subscribe, go to the Facebook page, go to your podcast on Apple or some other podcast avenues, and subscribe, and we'll be doing this every week. Thank you again.
Congratulations on spending a couple minutes getting just a little bit smarter, having some fun, and supporting the Pocatello business community. If you are feeling the love, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you are.